How did the ancient Egyptians remove a brain without ever cracking open the skull? Why were certain organs preserved with divine care, while others were simply thrown away? And what ancient ritual performed by robed priests in torch-lit chambers was believed to give the dead their voice back? For over 3 millennia, the Egyptians turned death into an art form. Mummification wasn't just a process, it was a spiritual operation, a divine insurance policy, a magical attempt to cheat time itself. Today, we peel back the linen and expose the dark, brilliant, and haunting secrets of ancient Egyptian embalming. To the Egyptians, the body was more than flesh. It was the anchor of the soul. They believed that without the physical body, the spirit, called the Ka, couldn't recognize itself. The person would vanish in the afterlife. So preserving the body wasn't for the living. It was for the dead. And it was serious business. Enter the priests of Anubis, masked in black, chanting incantations. They weren't just performing a ritual, they were saving souls. The process began the moment someone died. First, cleansing. The body was washed with water from the Nile and scrubbed with palm wine, a sacred bath for the journey ahead. Then came the cutting. A small slit was made in the side. Through this, the stomach, intestines, liver, and lungs were removed. These organs were then dried in natron, Egypt's magical salt, and placed into canopic jars. Each jar was protected by a deity: falcon, jackal, human, and baboon. But what about the brain? That was extracted through the nose. Using a metal hook, embalmers liquefied and pulled out the brain bit by bit. Why? Because they believed it was useless. Memory, thought, personality, all of that was said to reside in the heart, which is why the heart was usually left inside. It was needed for the final judgment, where it would be weighed against the feather of truth. Too heavy, and the soul was devoured. The body was packed in natron head to toe, inside and out. Natron absorbed every drop of fluid. After 40 days, the body was hard, dry, and ready for eternity. Then oils were massaged into the skin to maintain elasticity. Frankincense, myrrh, cedarwood, sacred balms to honor the divine vessel. But this wasn't just skin care. Every scent and oil carried symbolic meaning: purification, rebirth, divinity. Now came the most iconic phase: wrapping. Hundreds of linen strips were wound around the limbs, fingers, toes, even individual facial features. The wrappings were sealed with resin, like glue. But in between the layers, tiny treasures were hidden: amulets, scarabs, carved ankhs, each one placed with intention. Each spell-etched charm meant to guard the body from demons and curses in the next world. This wasn't art. This was magical warfare. Not all mummies were treated equally. Some were buried without care. Others were found mutilated, mouths jammed open, jaws shattered, arms tied behind their backs. Were these criminals? Heretics? Or victims of something darker? Some archaeologists believe they were cursed, marked, their spirits condemned to wander forever. And in some cases, these screaming mummies were buried in secret, far from sacred tombs. Before burial, one last ritual had to be done: the opening of the mouth. Priests gathered around the wrapped body. They pressed a ritual blade, often shaped like a fish spine, against the lips, eyes, ears, and nose. They chanted, offered incense, and called upon the gods. Why? Because without this ritual, the dead couldn't speak, couldn't see, couldn't breathe. The soul would be blind and silent in the next world. To the priests, this wasn't just tradition. It was salvation. One wrong word could ruin everything. Mummification was an act of defiance, a rebellion against rot, time, and death. The Egyptians believed that through these sacred steps, cleansing, removing, drying, wrapping, blessing, the soul would endure. And maybe they were right. Because today, thousands of years later, we still see them. We study their tattoos. We analyze their DNA. We open their tombs. And sometimes, we wish we hadn't. Perhaps these weren't just bodies meant to be remembered. Perhaps they were warnings. If this opened your eyes, wait until you see what archaeologists discovered inside the tomb of the screaming mummy, where the dead didn't go quietly. Click now, if you dare.